we have millions of people that love racing from,
Yeah.
In our country to other countries abroad. You just want them to appreciate the sport a little bit better. And again, just, turn that negativity into positivity is, what I'm trying to get out of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you wanted it, you got it. The place for the untold, real, raw, and juicy stories of dirt track racing. It's Dirt Track Confessions. And now here's your host, Mandee Pauch Mahaney.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Dirt Track Confessions. I'm your host, Mandee Pauch Mahaney. This week's episode, we have the man behind Living Like Outlaws, Wes Irwin. Wes, how are you over there?
I am doing wonderful, Mandy. It's good to catch up with you and talk. I'm looking forward to talking with you a little bit.
Me too. I feel like, gosh, before we hit record, Wes told me this is your 8th year doing this.
Yeah, eight years with the World of Outlaws, the Not-So Drink Sprint Car Series. I'm on the sprint car side, so as you know, it's 10 years on the road, and then it's two months off. But we're just beginning the season, so we're down here in Kennedale, Texas right now. So we got another show in Texas this weekend, Cotton Bowl Speedway in Page, Texas. So about a 3.5 hour drive southeast to get to that track.
Okay.
And then we hit Oklahoma, and you can see there's a cattail in front of my face. That's one of my cats. I got 2 cats that travel with me. Smoky Bones and Miss Marbles.
That's amazing. Listen, I'm here for the furry animals. So Wes, before we dive into what you're doing on social media, can you kind of paint the picture of like, what do you do for the Outlaws essentially?
For the Outlaws, I'm kind of doing what I didn't think I'd still be doing, but make a long story short, I should be an official at this point or something. But I guess I do a good job. I am the guy that tows around the merchandise trailer for the World of Outlaws Not-So Sprint Car Series. So I'm also the guy that sells it to you. But there's other jobs that I have out here. We started doing some things in the Midway where I'm interviewing drivers now and having Q&As with the fans. We do some contests. So it's a lot more than just selling shirts anymore today, which I asked for more responsibility because, I mean, at the end of the day, we're just selling T-shirts and that gets a little boring. Yeah. So I've asked for a little more. I didn't think I'd be doing the T-shirt deal that long. I thought I'd jump into something else, but I guess we do a pretty good job with it. And, my connection with my Living Like Outlaws platform kind of really helps them with the merchandise trailer because obviously, people want to meet me face to face, and that's a perfect place to do it, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. So that has me super curious. So you've been with the Outlaws for 8 years on the road. Now, what sparked the idea? I mean, I'm sure you kind of just touched on it because, like, you're just selling T-shirts, right? Like, there's so much more to it. And you brought that to the table. But what really sparked the idea of doing content like Living Like Outlaws?
Well, I've always kind of dabbled in it. I did some stuff, earlier in my life, and once social media was a thing, I started using it for my own. When I was racing, I would use it for myself. I started some other like platforms. I had that Wide Open Racing Media for a while. That was more like a page where, I shared other content from other racing industries. But I've always kind of liked it. But, working for the Outlaws, obviously, I'm going to have a bigger stage to perform on, quote unquote. But I thought, well, I could probably really gain a lot of followers because there's nobody in the world doing this, nobody's really living like an outlaw, and I'm kind of the only one doing this deal. So it worked out. It worked out pretty good to just go ahead and pull the trigger on it and, gain a lot of exposure, which led me to other things like having my youth development program, which is starting to gain some momentum. And, I figured why not share that stage with some youth, with some kids that are, the future of our sport.
Yeah. So touch on that because I have seen you sharing your youth development program. So like, what's the idea of this?
Well, these are my kids I have 16 kids or 17. I believe it's 16. And, it gotten so big that I had to get some help with it. So I have people that actually kind of work for me. Obviously I don't pay them. I'm not rich, but one of the kids' mothers helps me tremendously. She just came on board last year. So I had the program going on about 3 years now. But with her help, basically what we're doing is these kids, I figured if I have this stage to perform from, why not let others be on it as well? And
Yeah.
I couldn't think of anything better than kids racing, give them a little exposure, get them used to talking, doing interviews, just get them used to being like a personality because, I mean, I think the future is going to go that way, obviously. I mean, the days of walking into a business and saying, hey, will you sponsor me? Those days are kind of gone, I think.
Yeah.
I think your social media is probably, if you can make yourself look like a rock star, it helps because businesses want to see their names out there. They want to hear their names. And that's exactly what these kids are doing. So what they do for us is, and they come from all walks of life and all demographics. So we have 7 girls, 7 boys, or whatever the case may be. I don't know how it is. But we have girls and boys, all kinds of ages, anywhere from, our youngest one is 4.
Wow.
He's a little go-kart racer, and then they go all the way up to like 16. Some of them, I believe my oldest is 16 right now, or 15. But we've had some kids that in the last 2 years, I got them later in their age, so they moved on and, just didn't want to be considered a kid anymore. But we kept Ashley Williams on. She's running wingless sprint cars now. We kept her on as a mentor to the other kids. So she'll do some pop-up videos for us and pep talks for the kids. But yeah, what they do is they share their life through video. I tell them not to just even talk about racing. They talk about their lives. And some of these kids are pretty extraordinary. The other things they do, they're getting good grades, what they do, like baseball, basketball, what kind of hobbies they have. So they share a little bit of everything. So it's almost like a reality show in a sense for those kids. And so right now we're on the bi-weekly stuff, but once racing kind of is in full speed ahead and we're in mode, then we try to get them to do it every week. So, because I want people to get to know them, and my followers are. There's a lot of things that happen through this. Some of the kids have gotten some nice sponsors because of this deal, and it's a trade out. It's a marketing thing. They run my logo on their car, but they become family really with the parents and stuff like that. We got a great group of people, and so we're just trying to make them look like rock stars, get them a little more exposure. It'll help them with sponsors. It'll help them in the future. Whether they decide to stay in racing or not, there's a handful of them that have talent, and if they can, they can get the right resources behind them, they'll continue the race into adulthood. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
That's amazing. I love that so much. So, what would you say when you started, Living Like Outlaws, was any challenges that you had, like learning curves or who knows what? There's plenty, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, of course, anytime, I mean, as well as I do, doing anything media, it's tough. I'm learning a lot about technology. I'm not a young chicken anymore. So I'm trying to keep up with the Joneses, but thank God I have some help. But, being on the road, there's always a chance of bad internet connection. And, there's just things that stumble in the way a little bit. And I've learned a lot over the years. And, you got to try to figure out how social media works, how you can gain more fans and followers. And, they're always changing stuff, the formats. But challenges, I also had to be careful of how I went about things, because obviously, Big Brother's watching. I'll kind of say it like that. The Outlaws, not that they're watching me daily and making sure I don't do something wrong, but I got to watch what I do. I am representing them, so it has to tie in a little bit.
Absolutely. Totally agree. I get that. So, okay, away from social media wise, your day-to-day job, what does a normal week or day look like for you?
Well,
I say normal very lightly.
Obviously, we have some midweek shows here and there, but obviously I'm only working on weekends. So I'm working on a Friday and Saturday. It's race day. It's a full-blown day. I mean, there's no time to goof off. I mean, I do get to watch our guys on the track, which is a plus for me. That's something I have worked out with my coworker that works in the trailer with me. She allows me to be able to go watch our cars on the track. So I don't miss very many races unless we're at a track we haven't been to in a while or it's new. where we're super, super busy and I can't just walk away. But we also have a TV in the trailer, so it works out. But, during Monday, Sunday through Thursday, that's my weekend. So I got a really cool job. So and when I was talking to you earlier before we went on here, I was just down in the Fort Worth stockyards yesterday. I'd never been. All the times I've been in Texas, I've always wanted to go, and I had such a great time. So my job during the week is just to have fun and, expose the World of Outlaws, expose Living Like Outlaws, and mingle with people and make things happen. And that's what I've been doing. So, I'm not going to lie, I got a pretty good gig. But it's not for everybody. Living on the road can be very extraordinarily tough, and the responsibilities and stress that you have to deal with on a daily basis, you just got to have big shoulders. And I feel like I do. I feel like I've always been kind of a nomad, I guess you could say, a loner. Not really a loner, but I'm around people all the time. But like a gypsy, I don't know. But I fit this lifestyle pretty good, and I'm pretty much a lifer. So
I love that. Okay, so that has me curious. All right, let's see. Gosh, is it Moose's Minutes? What is it when you're at the track? Yeah. So like, how do you decide what content to create, what content to share? Do you just wing it?
Well, I mean, like that whole deal there, that's Pam and Kevin Zerfoss, who own Moose's LZ. It's a bar and restaurant in central Pennsylvania, just outside of Jonestown. Known them forever. They're the parents of Brock Zerfoss. And just a great restaurant and just great people. They love racing. You'll see their billboards at many tracks in central Pennsylvania. So when I started goofing around with it, I thought, I'm going to start doing some video stuff. And I'm like, let's just tell people what I'm going to do every day or what I'm getting myself into or maybe what I've done last night. And I just started throwing their name on there as a sponsor, and they liked it. So, we get a little bit of money out of them. It's fun. They pay for it, but they get mentioned every day and get tagged. We used to do it where I would send it to a girl that helps me out, and she would edit it. But now I'm doing them live. They just seem to work better live. But they get tagged, and they've gained some exposure because of it. They've got a lot of people that when they're in the area, they'll stop in and get a bite to eat. So the Moose's LZ Bar and Grill Morning Minutes. It used to be minute, but I changed it to minutes because I always have too much to talk about, and so we had to change that. But that's just like a daily rundown of what's going on. And now we're getting into some other stuff as the season starts. I'm going to have a couple different types of video series. So hopefully there's a lot of people who think that that's all I do, but I do a lot more. So, but I guess people are just used to seeing that every day because that's a daily thing. I very rarely miss it, but there are times when I get super busy and I just like, holy crap, it's 2:00 in the afternoon. It ain't morning anymore. So I can't do it. Or I just don't do it. But out of 365 days, I probably do at least 300 days of the morning minutes. So
wow, okay, so you do it every
single morning. It was really boring when we were sitting still for COVID, but it was kind of funny because I was right down the street from their bar restaurant. I was staying at a campground during COVID when everything shut down. The Outlaws kept me out on the road. Basically, I was doing the online store at that time, which I no longer do. Things just got too busy. But so I was the only pretty much active employee during COVID. Everybody went back to Concord, dropped off their gear, dropped off their equipment, and went home. I had to stay out there and keep doing my job. So I relocated myself closer to my parents, who live in Pennsylvania. And I think it was fun, it was springtime, so it wasn't super cold. But at I think it was 67 days at a campground. That's what I do every day. I'm camping because I live in a toter home on the road. So every day I'm camping. I'm camping at a track right now. It could be a casino parking lot, somebody's business, or people have a big yard. I got a lot of good hookups out here. But sitting at a campground for 67 days got a little monotonous. So the morning minutes were getting boring, couldn't really talk about anything. But thank God that all went away and we're back to kind of normal here. So.
Are you enjoying this episode, want even more, or want a closer connection to the DTU fam? Join us over in Club DTU, where you'll receive early access to all of our podcasts, live race day updates, exclusive content, special merchandise, discounts, a community chat, personal recognition, and so much more. All inside one place, Club DTU. So I'm curious, hearing you with the merchandise, how do you guys keep up like with, well, the quantities and stuff? Like, so what does that
Yeah.
look like? Are you keeping track yourself? Is there a set, hey, we renew the quantities at a certain date? Where do you pick them up? What does that look like, Wes?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
It's a little tough. It's a little logistically, it's a little tough, but we pretty much have a good shipping address for every track. So, I mean, I've gotten to know all these promoters, so I pretty much know every promoter or track owner there is, and I might even have their personal address where they can ship it to their house. But we have a POS system that kind of keeps track of stuff. But we also, I'll call back to Concord and say, hey, look, just keep an eye on this shirt. It's running pretty low.
Mhm.
So it's not hard, but it's not easy either.
Yeah.
But then I'd say when I roll in the Cotton Bowl, there'll be boxes waiting for me there because I mean we kicked ass here. We got our asses handed to us here at Kennedale. This place was packed. So obviously things need to be restocked, and but you gotta be ahead of the game because obviously somebody else is involved in that because somebody else is printing those shirts. So
Mhm.
it's a time thing. So you just you get used to it and you kind of keep an eye on stuff. But somebody back in the office is sitting back there also keeping an eye on the POS system saying, well, we're getting low in this, so we're going to ship these out. But there's not too many tracks we can't ship to out here in the United States. There's a handful of them, but not too many.
Okay. All right. So you guys use computer. I use freaking paper and pen over here, so that makes it a little bit easier. So
Right. Well, I mean, you have to, the amount of quantities we deal with.
yeah.
Obviously we're not IndyCar or NASCAR, but our souvenir trailer is pretty big. And not taking away from the drivers, but at any given event, we're going to have the most action. So
Yeah.
we are pushing out a big quantity. So it's you got to use a system of some sort.
For sure. Yeah. Okay. So Living Like Outlaws, how do you feel it's evolved did you start it when you first started working with the Outlaws, or has it just been a couple of years?
I didn't start it right away, but it's been up and running pretty much 6 years now, six and a
Mm-hmm.
half,
Okay.
somewhere in that range. And it just really started gaining momentum. And, we do little things that people, becomes a thing. I do this thing called the Almost Famous Suvi Selfie, and I have little props for it, depending on what track we're at. It was St. Patty's Day, on Monday. So we kind of had a St. Patty's Day theme going on. But people will come up and get this Almost Famous Suvi selfie with me, and then I'll post them all on Monday. And people just get a kick out of seeing themselves,
Yeah.
in a picture somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like they're on, a jumbotron at the baseball game, but this is a still picture. But still, I kind of make it like that. We have these fun little things we do, and we just the following that I have now is just tremendous. It's really like gained momentum, and this is why we're going to start adding a few more things. A few more video series and some content that it's all for the fan. It really is all for the fan. I'm not going to get anything out of this. I mean, maybe we get some sponsors and they give us a little money, but that'll help me get like equipment that I'm going to start needing. I've been considering starting a podcast. I mean, just because it would be a very unique podcast because I would be doing it on the road and not too many people do that. So, but I worry a little bit about, again, internet issues and then you got to buy equipment and laptops.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it'd be hard, but I got to make sure I have the time to do it. And like in the springtime, trying to accomplish anything in the springtime's hit and miss because, I mean, look at us this year. This year we haven't had a rain out yet, which is crazy because most springs, you only get 4 out of the 8 races, or whatever the case may be. Then you don't want to start something you can't finish. I'm one of those guys, like ever I try to start a project, if I can't follow through with it, I probably won't do it. Having podcasts and having rituals, you have a schedule and you want to stay by it, because people are very organized. They, if you screw them up and you throw them off balance a little bit, it's a mess, So, but it's really gained momentum, and the amount of friendships that it's created for me with fans. Like I have a car right now. It's not my car, but the lady that owns the cafe down the street, her and her husband are great people. Support the racetrack. We eat breakfast there every day, and I promote them. I let people know where to go to eat when they're near a track, and I always support like the smaller businesses, especially the ones that are behind racing. They're a husband and wife. They race cars themselves. Now their sons do. And it was a no-brainer to plug them every day, and they
Yeah.
appreciated it. And through that appreciation, they're like, hey, we're going to give you a car to use. We know you guys, might have to do some things. And, it's a blessing because we just did laundry today, which is not my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah.
And I had a pile of it. So, we just created a lot of friendships, and it just shows that whatever I'm doing to keep the fans more engaged, it's working because they've been very grateful. And I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Yeah, it's been fun.
That's incredible. And we talked about that before we started recording, is the friendships you build, along the way it's incredible. So kind of spins off of, what lessons do you feel? Would you kind of touched on in the beginning, but I'm curious if there's anything else, like what lessons you've learned about essentially, like, Wes, this is, I look at Living Like Outlaws, it's a brand. You're building a brand. So have there been any lessons along the way of like, okay, this isn't us, or this is us, or this is what the people want more of?
Yeah, there has been, and I genuinely try to ask the fans if I have an idea, I throw it out there. I leave them give me ideas. So I'll do a live. Sometimes I'll sit down and do a live, and I hope to get a lot of my followers to get on that live. And I discuss things I might do and what they think the pros and cons of it are. So I get a lot of help from the fans and ideas, and then I might take their idea and my idea and kind of blend it together. But yeah, I've learned some things that don't work for sure, and
Yeah.
there's some things that are really going to be good if I can make them happen. But I did a year. I did some shirts, koozies, some hats, and things like that. And I have great people behind me making that stuff for me. But man, what a pain in the butt that was. I couldn't even keep it. Like people wanted it, and I've been considering starting a whole new line of apparel based off of what we do, and maybe some of the one-liners that I have out here. And we're looking into that too. But like how that goes. That's a costly thing. You're going to buy all this stuff, and then you're going to sit on it for a little bit, but you make your money back. But, again, I don't want to conflict with my job.
Yeah.
And so like selling it out of the back door of the toter home, and I can't keep track of it half the time. So, I've learned some lessons that way too. Like I realize if I have something with the Living Like Outlaws name on it, it'll sell. And I should probably capitalize on that, and I probably will. But we're working on it. But I've learned a lot of stuff from doing the wrong thing, and you try not to do the wrong thing, but as well as I do, you say something wrong, and it might start some controversy. So part of the game, like what you do and what I do, are similar, where we got to even watch what we say,
Absolutely,
because that's the hardest part right there. Is like when I get my feelings don't get hurt, but like if something goes wrong and they get on my page and start bashing stuff, I really get upset about it. But I don't generally have that. I mean, I have a lot of positivity on my page because that's what my page is about. I start the day off with my Spotify list. I put a reggae song on there every day for if people have Spotify, they can listen to what I listen to in the morning. I'm a reggae guy, and it's like it's very although reggae is a lot about marijuana. It is also a very positive feeling.
Yeah.
So that's why I like reggae, not for the weed part of it. But I just I want to keep everything positive. There's enough negativity out there. There's some fans that are our own worst enemies. It bothers me so, but you can't say nothing. And all you can do is try to help be a positive. There's a handful of people that I call like the preachers of the word, and you yourself are one. I mean, you're doing something to help the sport by doing what you do.
Yeah.
People like my buddy Kenny Wallace. I mean, he tries to help the sport. He gets a little controversial, but he can do that.
Yeah.
You got some ambassadors out there. Chatty Maddie, a young girl that is a pit reporter and announcer for the IRA. She does her own little show. She cares about the sport. So there's a handful of us that do that. So it's our job and our responsibility. I think sometimes it becomes a job really to be a spokesperson for our sport and say the right thing and do the right thing.
Yeah. But then it's a catch-22, Wes, because not all days are sunshine and rainbows.
No, no,
And you
no.
just want to let it out, but you know you shouldn't, because we're here to enlighten the world and tell them
Yes.
how wonderful racing is. And some
Yeah,
days
yeah.
it's like, no.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's you know that's the bad thing about social media. People do get a little comfortable with being a bully on there,
Oh yeah.
and it's sad. I always used Williams Grove is one I use as an example. Williams Grove Speedway, historical as all can be. I've
Mm-hmm.
even turned laps there in the sprint car. One of the toughest tracks to race, and it's probably gone downhill a little bit. It's older. It's an older facility, but the fans there, that Central Pennsylvania based fan base, they're very passionate,
For
but a lot of
diehards.
times their passion turns into like big time problems. And I'll see guys on there bashing the heck out of the track, but that, like when we're rolling it, we race there 3 times a year, and we'll roll into town, and the exact same guy that bashed the track is sitting in the stands, and I'm thinking to myself, what was the point of that?
Yeah.
Because now all you're doing is by bashing that track. If that track wants to, maybe there's a sponsor interested in sponsoring that track, putting a billboard up, but they're on social media and see all this negativity about the track. They're not going to spend their money there. Same for the drivers that race there. Yeah, I want you to sponsor me, but they say, well, you race at Williams Grove. We see there's a lot of problems there. I don't know if we want to get behind that. So these fans are actually like hurting themselves, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But so you just try to help correct that, I guess. You can't get on there and yell at them as much as you'd want to. I'd love to tell some people off sometimes,
Oh, yeah.
but it just, all they're going to do is come back at you. So the best thing to do is ignore it. It goes away, because in social media world, things go away real quickly if you don't keep adding fuel to the fire. But so we're all, you, myself, other people are in a position to be positive and help the sport. That's what I'm going to do, because what the sport has done for me, it's been in my family, my whole life, just like yours. It's made me a better person. So I'm trying to give back. I wasn't always the best person in the world. I've done some things wrong in life, but I'm getting older, and I guess when you get older, you get wiser. So I'm doing whatever I can do to make it better, because when I'm long gone, I want them to still have it. That's why we help the kids. That's why I do what I do. We're big supporters of our benevolent fund. I help the benevolent fund out a lot. We've been doing a lot with them too, raising money for the injured drivers fund. So I'm a big guy behind that. I was always probably better at running my mouth than running a race car. So it's kind of like, this is what we're going to do now. We're going to be this guy. But as you get popular and you get bigger with this stuff, then you start getting some of those weirdos and mean people, and they try to break you down, but you can't let them.
Dude, yes. Spot on.
You
Well
can't let
said.
them.
Well said. So that actually has me going to my nice segue into it, Wes. I appreciate the lineup. What is your long-term vision? I mean, you kind of just touched on it, but goals of Living Like Outlaws. What's your long-term, I don't know, 5, 10, 20 years, who knows? What would you want to get?
Like you said, I think we've created a brand here, and I can see that being, a thing. Down the line, I'd like to just see it be bigger, obviously, where it's national. It's so national, it's not even funny. But and maybe creating my own traveling road show. I mean,
that'd be fun.
Something like that. I mean, I got to look at things this way. I'm in this life of racing, and again, it's not for everybody, but this is my life. And at my age, I'm getting older. I'm not going to just say, well, I'm going to get out of racing and all of a sudden go get another job. Well, that ain't going to happen. So I know that I'm going to be out here for a long time. And maybe in the company itself, I'd like to stay on the road, but maybe be a little bit higher position in the companies down the line. But I'd like to see the Living Like Outlaws thing continue, grow, have an apparel line, have shows that are constantly on, have a podcast, just have the same thing, just at a bigger level, and a little more professional maybe. But I can't, maybe to some it sounds like, wow, he doesn't really have a future, does he? But to me, if I can make all my stuff better, that is my future. Yeah. And I just want to make everything grow. I want to be inducted in the Sprint Car Hall of Fame. Damn it,
Yeah.
that's what I'm shooting for.
That's
Just to be a contributor to this sport. And no, I kid when I say that, but it would be cool. But yeah, I think I would like to see maybe my company start allowing me maybe to get in front of a camera more on the bigger side of things with the streaming stuff, and maybe some pre-parking lot stuff, some fun
Yeah.
things like a Rutledge used to do in NASCAR. But I don't know if they'll ever go that direction. But I can do it myself, so I'll keep doing it myself, and maybe someday they'll say, well, we'd really like you to do it for us. And which I'm kind of already doing it for them, but just to be bigger, just to be numbers are bigger, just to have things where I'm actually making an impact,
Yeah.
I don't know how many followers we have across the social media deal, because we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, and the YouTube needs to grow. I have to grow that. We're on X. Katie just started us on TikTok. I don't ever get on there. She's the one doing that, but I think we're on Snapchat too. If I don't know. But
everywhere. That's great.
I just want numbers to grow and just become where, like, if I say something, and I have thousands and thousands of followers, it's good to know that they're listening. We might have. I think I'm closing in on 30,000 on Facebook. Facebook makes it a little tough to grow fast unless you're running ads and things like that. And I try to keep my stuff organic. I don't need them to like sell me. I want you to like my page because you want to like my page.
Yeah.
I don't need them to, just people to like it because it's a racing thing. I want them to like it because they want to like it. And again, it's we're going to do some more things this year. Last year I tried to do more, but I bit off more than I could chew, and it backfired on me a little bit. So I'm going to do less, but I want to make it quality and where it's a weekly thing. So we're getting ready to do a little series called Facts in the Flag Stand. I don't know if I'm going to do it live or that's going to be edited, but we're just going to hop up in every flag stand at every track because I know I can. And we're just going to run down the little history of the Speedway. The last time Outlaws were there, who was the last winner, things like that. Just a little history about the town. We're going to do that. We got some things where we give you a sneak peek of the track. That's a live video. I just started. We're doing a thing called Now You Know, where we're just interviewing anybody and everybody, even if it's like I'm getting ready to do one with Bill Baylog's crew guy because he's here. And, I figured I'll sit down and talk to him. And people like to know what his life is like. It's him and Bill Baylog are 2 years out here now. They just won an outlaw race last week back in Alabama, and 2 weeks ago. And they're just two guys, and they're making it work. So we'll do a little story on him. I'll do it. The kid selling French fries. It don't matter. Everybody that plays a part in racing is important, and I want to make sure people know that. I think if you learn a little more about the sport and the facilities, maybe you wouldn't be so quick to like judge them. But it's a hard thing. I would love to be a promoter of a racetrack. I know I could do it. Just not the right scenarios lined up for me to do something like that. But like to be a promoter is tough because I talk to a lot of them, and the way people beat them up on social media, they have to have the biggest shoulders in the world to put up with that crap because they don't make very much money these days, right? Having a racetrack is hard. They're working all the time from sun up to sundown. They don't get any appreciation usually, and they're not making the money they used to make, and it's hard for them to keep the lights on. But when you add all the people bashing them, then it's a no wonder that they sell their tracks. And so if we can just keep people a little more on the positive side, I guess that's my goal in life, just to make race fans more positive.
Love that. We're kind of in line, Wes. We're pretty in line because I feel what you're doing it's more than just a race. There's the people behind it, the history behind it, and just the positivity of it all, which is incredible. And I think that's phenomenal. So, okay, what do you feel like for me? Oh, I didn't even think about this, answering this question. So I don't know why I just did this to myself. Like for me, when I create our content, my hopes is of course, like getting new people involved, but also having a better appreciation of not us as like the Pouches or the Mahaneys, but us as like racers, as
Yeah.
the entertainment. And so my question for you, it's probably very similar, is what do you hope people take away from Living Like Outlaws?
Yeah, I mean, I hope they take away a newfound respect for people, a newfound respect for possibly wherever we may be that week or whatever the case may be. Just a newfound respect. If they're racing fans, I don't expect people that are racing fans to be watching what we're doing, but that racing fans, that's a big community. So we have millions of people that love racing from, in our country to other countries abroad. And, I think you're right. Just the appreciation, you just want them to appreciate the sport a little bit better. And again, just turn that negativity into positivity is what I'm trying to get out of it.
Yeah. So I always like to close my episode with a tip, piece of inspiration. I mean, Wes, you've been phenomenal. But for anyone interested in doing what you do, what would be the biggest tip that you would offer them?
As far as like what I do with Living Like Outlaws, or for a job.
Whichever you'd like.
Okay, well, how about both of them? Well,
Yeah.
if somebody was to do what I'm about to try and do, or what I'm doing at the moment with Living Like Outlaws, is my best advice to them would be is work hard. Make sure you and do your homework. Work hard. If you're going to do it, do it. Pull the trigger and do it. Don't hold back. I mean, try everything possible to be, I guess, an internet social media sensation. To help just make everything better. But as far as my job, if anybody's interested in something like doing what I do for a living, just make sure, you have big shoulders. You can handle stress. You like to travel. There's not a lot of people out here with families. And if they are out here, their families out here with them. But racing's fun. I mean, it's a job in the racing industry is fun. I mean, you're going to make $1 million, but working with the Outlaws is a good stepping stone for a lot of coworkers of mine. We see them come and go every 2 to 3 years. They leave, but they're younger kids and they're trying to get their foot in the door for IndyCar or NASCAR, and that's great. This is a great stepping stone for that. And but my advice is to people is just I tell everybody, just stay positive, keep smiling, and just shake your groove thing all the time. That's what I tell them. I say that every morning in my Moose's LZ Bar and Grill morning minutes. Just be happy, dance, live life. Loosen the tie, enjoy what you have, because we got a taste of what it would be like not to have our racing when COVID hit. And that was depressing for a lot of people.
It was.
And I was hoping that people would come back a lot more grateful once we started racing again, but they kind of didn't. So this is where you and I bring our positive pleasure.
We try.
We try, yeah.
Yep.
But my advice to somebody is just whatever you're going to do, whatever it is in racing, crewing, racing, just you got to work hard and you just got to stay positive. That is it. I mean, that's my only advice. You can't. It's a different kind of niche out here, but I don't even know what I'd do if I had to work a 9-to-5 job. I'd go insane.
No way.
I don't check in with anybody. I don't punch a time clock. Here I'm, I could have drove down to the next track, but I'm sitting here because we've got friends here. I'll leave tomorrow morning. I'll get there in time. I get to see beautiful scenery and meet great people, and it keeps me out here. It keeps me going.
Good for you. I love that. So, okay. I mean, you pretty much, Wes, said like you're on just about every single platform there is, but is it so people can find you? Is it like Living Like Outlaws on all the platforms? Like, how can they find you?
Yes, it is Living Like Outlaws on all the platforms. I'm pretty sure of that. I could be wrong, but I think they're all Living Like Outlaws. I have 3 people that help me now.
Amazing.
A young lady up in Grand Forks, North Dakota, who just loves racing, and she's still in college, but she's a racing geek, is what she is. I love it. And she was working in a studio of a show I was on, and I mentioned that I was looking for somebody to help me with my social media, and she's standing in the background raising her hand, and I'm like, well, I told the guy that was hosting the show, I said, I think I found my employee So we got her, and then I got a friend in Iowa, Darren Isaacson. He kind of he's got a job, and he's a busy guy. But like if I need him to put a cool video together, he's the guy, or put a poster together. He's good at that stuff. And then I just picked up Jessica DeMario from Massachusetts, and her daughter races slingshot. Pat Addison Roger. Her mom is now helping me with the youth program. So without that help, I'm not gaining any. I'm not. The wheels are turning faster because I got a lot of help. And then I didn't realize I was going to need help, but that's how hard doing this is. You try to come out here and do your own job. You got to do your job first, and then then you try to do your stuff. So it's a lot. I don't know if you see my one cat flying around in here. She's like a monkey. She got the zoomies. She's flying around.
Zoomies,
right time. Yeah,
ready to rock and roll. Oh my gosh. Well, you're greasing the wheels. I'm excited to see whatever you transpire for the season. So thank you so much, Wes, for taking the time to be on here. Guys, definitely go follow him, subscribe, like the pages, you name it.
Yeah.
He's got content pumping out every single day. So Wes, thank you so much.
We're doing some cool stuff. Yeah, we're doing some cool stuff. I'd love to have y'all come out over and like us and follow us. We're definitely a different kind of racing page. It's more about our life out here through my eyes. So it's kind of an adventure, almost a reality page. So and I appreciate everything you do for the sport.
Thank you.
You got a great little show going on. It's cool. It's like a reality show, basically. Your content.
We're doing. I don't know what we're doing, but we're doing.
Yeah, but we'd be bored out of our minds. We obviously are passionate about racing, you and I. We'd be bored out of our minds if we weren't trying to make a difference. And I can't just sit back and be a fan. I got to be more than that. So that's exactly what I'm doing.
That's awesome. Well, Wes, thank you. And everyone else, be sure to like this, share it on your social medias, tag Wes and I, and we'll catch you guys right back here next week. Thanks, Wes.
Thank you, Mandee.